everybody. Welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner.
And I'm Mitch. I'm a fair weather runner.
Didn't get out today.
No.
Yet.
It's nasty out there. I don't think I have time, and I'm all right with it.
Oh, time. And you're okay with that?
If I was streaking, I would get out there.
That's surprising. Wow.
I think my back needs just a little bit of rest.
Is that okay? I figured it might be a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's just that kind of stuff. And then I got that goofy arthritis thing once in a while. So my feet were swollen up yesterday. So I think they just need a break.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would be surprised if you just were like, I'm good with missing a day.
No.
That would surprise me. We'd have to stop recording, and we'd have to have an intervention. Are you okay, Mitch?
I'm not, but I'm trying to get back to let my body rest and do what it's supposed to do, which is a weird thing.
It's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It is, but I know, like I was just talking earlier, I have a race to pace coming up in a month, and I do have enough miles, but it's stuck in my head like I need more miles, just that long grueling, because I'm running a slower pace.
I was just going to say.
And you have to be consistent. And it's just that whole thing. Like when you get to mile 20, when you're running a slow pace on a race, it's grueling. Like it's
no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's funny because as you get to doing a lot of marathons and you're pacing, it is interesting how a slower pace like that can actually be harder, especially later, than if you've trained for a race for a specific time.
Right.
And not that it's not hard, but there's a different mental hurdle you have to get over at those miles.
And you don't have to worry about letting people down. So if you crash,
that too.
You just deal with it. But this, the pressure is on. Like you want to stay consistent. You don't want to ruin somebody else's race. So it's just a lot more to think about.
And we're creeping up on marathon season.
Yeah.
It's approaching fast.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. I've got that armed services.
Me too. Have you run at all?
Barely, hardly any, no. And then it's getting closer. I'm going, man, I don't even know if I can do a marathon. I could probably do a marathon if I get rolling here, but man, time is just, life can get so busy and in the way sometimes. And that's just where I'm at. But whatever, I'll figure it out, and I'll get rolling shortly.
And I was just going to point out, this isn't just a quick intro.
This is not a quick intro. Let's bring our guest in.
We do have a guest. We have Dan Kasparitz. I think I said it right.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. He is actually my cousin's daughter's husband. That's
not bad.
Is that further removed?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. That's not that far. I mean, it's easier to follow that than like my cousins, sisters, uncles, brothers, daughters, nephews.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Get too far.
On my mom's side.
On your mom's side. Way to clarify, just in case we had any questions.
Right. But, I've been following Dan's running for a long time.
Because he's fast.
And he is fast. And I'm always impressed by that. I know he's not one that's going to want to talk about himself as far as that goes. But I think it's fun because, a lot of people would look at what he's doing and be like, holy crap, that's fast. And it is faster than any of us run.
Yeah, it's just to give those listening an idea. He's in the 2:30 to 2:35 neighborhood for a marathon.
Yeah.
Which is quick.
When he tries.
That is what pace-ish.
Well, 2:32 is 5:48.
5:48.
Yep.
Okay. So that gives some perspective to people.
And that's your PR.
That's my PR, yes.
And that was just last year.
So that's a
year, just a little over
2021, right?
Yep.
So
that 2022 January.
Okay. So that was last year. Okay.
Yeah. So you can still count it. When it's older than 5 years, you can't count it anymore. But you can still count that one.
Right.
I think you can count a PR because that is definitely your personal record.
Right.
No matter what, it stays your personal record.
I always tout my 3:24, which he's almost an hour faster than me, as like, oh, that's my PR. But that's
10 years ago?
It's a long time.
Shoot, I had some. Oh, I wanted to give people an indication of like what that is. You said it's a 5 what?
48.
a 5:48. So anybody listening, go out and either try to do a 1 mile, just 1 mile at 5:48, or jump. Be careful if you jump on a treadmill. Well, I don't even know if treadmills can go. How many miles per hour is that? Is it over 12?
No.
No.
12 miles an hour is 5 flat pace.
Oh, okay. So some treadmills can go up to that quick. So it's got to be like 11
If
something.
they do it, they need to video it so I can see it.
Send us video if you do it on a treadmill.
If they roll off the back, that's better.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Don't do it on a treadmill. We're just gonna say that now. So yeah, don't do it on a treadmill. Go outside, try to run a 5:48 1 mile, and you'll get an idea of how quick that is. But yeah, Dan, thanks for joining us. We wanted to talk to Dan for a few reasons. Number one, we have said this many times on the podcast. We love talking to everybody, whether that is the person literally coming in last, doesn't matter, love that, to the elite. And you are in that, close to that category of elite. I mean, in some races you are categorized as the elite. And so, yeah, we like to talk to everybody. And Mitch, you want to kick us off with some questions?
As we start, our favorite thing to ask, I know when we have Brian on, he's not going to let us talk about like what got him into running because he doesn't want to talk about that. But like, how did you start running?
Well, the first time I started running was in elementary school when they had the mile.
Okay.
And that's where I really started to enjoy running.
Really?
Yeah.
In elementary. Wow.
So I think we did it in the spring, and in the fall we did a mile time in elementary school. And then when we got to junior high, we did the same thing, and they had like the top 10 all time list, and you were always trying to get on that. But in the middle school, it was 18. I think it was 18 laps around the indoor track or indoor basketball.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you make the top 10?
Yeah, but I don't remember where I was at, but
Okay.
it was in the top 10.
But you knew you had like you had legs at that point, and you knew you did okay.
Right.
So in middle school, then did you run cross country in middle school?
Yes.
Okay. And so then you would have actually started to get a gauge of where, all right, I am pretty quick at running. I can do well.
Yes, that's where I started, but that was slower
Oh.
or lower distances. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
as good in the mile and the 2 mile as I am in a 5K or something longer.
What was your time in high school for the 5K? Do you remember?
16:04.
Okay.
That's the fastest you've run a 5K?
No, that was the fastest I ran in cross country, and
Which is slower than
which
on
was
the
my
road.
junior year. I ran
Junior year.
slower.
So was that quick enough to take you to state?
That year I was 27th in the state
Okay.
in
so it
Division
is.
2.
Okay. I wonder. Okay. Yeah.
And then the next year I ran 16:07 and I was 14th.
Oh,
So
3 seconds slower.
So that
10
we joked about it depends on who shows up, right? And
Well, and it also depends on the weather.
Oh, yeah.
and
True.
course.
So especially in November.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weather, course, so many factors with
Oh, yeah.
with
Cross country.
cross country.
So really, at a 16:07, you probably had a better performance anyway.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So that would make sense because based on the weather, based on the terrain, or anything like that.
And so wait, what do you know off the top of your head what pace that is?
That's around 5:10.
So 5:10 in high school for cross country, and now you're running 5:40s ish, 5:50 for a marathon. A few years later.
A few years later. Quite a bit of more miles.
And a lot more miles. So let's jump to the PR, which is
2:32:10.
2:32:10 last year in 2022. That's in January?
Yes.
Ah, okay. That is the rock and roll one, not the Phoenix Marathon.
Right. It's the rock and roll.
Rock and roll, which are
Tempe.
two different. Oh, okay. In Tempe. Oh, okay. Is that what is the course like? Is it a loop course? Is it a
No, it's a loop course.
Okay.
Pretty hilly.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Did
Like
you-
the first half is kind of almost uphill, but it's like a slow, gradual, and then
Oh, okay. Because the
Comes
Phoenix
downhill.
Marathon is like all downhill straight into Phoenix one way. It's like labeled as one of the fastest marathons you can go and run. A lot of people go there to try to
So-
qualify
No,
for
you-
Boston.
in Tempe you go through. Is it Papico Park? I don't know if you ever gone through there, but that's kind of up and down.
Oh, okay. So it's a tough course.
It was
So-
a tough course.
So what made you choose that race?
So my mom wanted to run a marathon on her 60th birthday. So she was trying to find one around her birthday, and that's the day before her 60th birthday.
Oh, no
so
way.
that's why we went and ran that one.
When is it?
That year was January 14th,
When's her birthday?
the 15th.
Oh, okay, because mine's the 14th.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have a big birthday coming up too.
Yeah, it's still in my 40s. Hanging on to those.
So, I think it seems like I talked to you. You were planning on going for a PR at that race, though.
Yeah, so before that, I've ran 3 marathons in the 2:38. So I decided I'm not going to run 2:38 again. And so I just ran 100-mile weeks. And
Okay, so you just
because
put
usually
in.
with marathons, the thing I get problems with is strength. Like my legs just get so tired at the end. So I figured if I just put in as many 100-mile weeks as I could, be strong enough.
So you didn't train specifically, like you did you literally just go out and run long weeks, or did you do some speed training in there, or?
No, so I'm on Strava, and I just did the 12-week training plan. But of course, I did a build-up longer than 12 weeks. I started after the bridge run, putting in over 80 miles a week until the 12 weeks.
Were most of the so did the Strava training plan specifically give you some like fartlek days and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah, interval
Okay.
work,
It did.
tempo
Okay.
runs,
Okay.
everything, yeah.
I've never actually looked at the training plan in Strava. I've usually looked at stuff outside of that.
Yeah, I think I've taken a peek at it, but I don't follow hardly any training plan for anything. But it is interesting because I know just like when I was training for Western, I think I was doing a lot of longer weeks, and naturally, just through doing the longer miles, I got a lot faster. And maybe it's due to because you're actually strengthening your legs for deeper into a race like that. Because at Fargo, I didn't really get tired. I felt great at the end of the marathon.
Yeah, because you used Fargo as a training run. It was a long course. It was quite a bit longer than 26.2, and you were like just on 3 hours, it seems like.
Yep. Yeah, 3 hours.
And you were not
change.
trying to run 3 hours.
No, I was just wanted a solid day, and it felt great. And then when I got to within like, I don't know, maybe the last 5 miles, I went, dang, I could probably break 3 if I just pick it up a little bit. But I didn't have the speed work necessarily dialed in to be able to go and just pick it up like a few seconds a mile.
So bringing it back to Arizona, like how did you know the whole way you had it, or the last few miles where you're like, okay, I just have to hold on to this?
So I got into the elite race, and I talked with a guy before the race, and his name was Tom, 50 years old, ran a 2:35 at CIM that year,
Oh,
like 3 weeks prior, and he's like, well, I think I can run in between 5:50 and 6 flat with you for halfway. And I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. And so we ran the first half in 1:17:30, and then I negative
So
split
34,
that
yeah.
to a 1:14:40.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
But I knew
is the front half
Hill
more
air.
uphill?
the front half was more uphill.
Ah,
Yeah. And I knew I had it, but I thought I was going to lose it because I think my shoes were tied a little too tight, and I had bruises on the top of my feet. So going downhill hurt
felt it.
bad
Oh man.
and turning corners. But luckily at the end, it was pretty much down the canal, which was straight. And
You could tell.
I could tell.
You knew you had it at that point. And did you struggle? Was there any particular mile in there where you were like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get through this mile at this pace.
Nope.
Felt good.
Felt
the whole
good.
way. Those are rare. Those
Yeah.
marathons are rare where you never hit a questionable mile.
You know, I was thinking when Connecticut a couple years ago, it was one of my better races in a few years, but I did negative split that, but I felt it was one of those days like
Yeah.
I felt fantastic. And every mile was faster until the finish line went up just a little bit, and I felt like my face looked like Rambo going up that because I was just trying not to lose any speed on that last little
Yeah.
bit. But you just felt, did you pick it up even through there?
Well, we picked it up. I had the wind at my back for like 2 miles on the canal, and then you come back, and then you had the wind in your face, and I was just like, well, I'll just try and hold pace.
Yeah.
Just hold effort. And
Are you at that level? Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what level you're at, but are you the type of runner, I should say, that are you constantly looking at your heart rate, or what are you doing there?
I don't know. It's all
You put the training in, you're following a pace.
effort. I'm following an effort.
Effort.
Most
Okay.
like today on the run, I didn't look at my watch at all. I knew the loop. Whatever I run is what I run.
Okay. So it's literally your feeling, not any kind of technology.
On regular runs and in a race, yeah, I don't follow a pace.
So
Wow, that's interesting.
So if you're doing, like, say you're doing intervals, do you try to hit a specific pace or an effort or heart rate?
Yeah, during like workouts, I'll try and hit a certain pace.
Because the
But-
workout says do this.
Right.
Yep.
But on easy days and like when I ran Chicago, all I did was like, I'm not really in that great a shape. I'm just going to run what I run, and that's how I feel. That's how I run.
Wow.
So Chicago, I remember talking to you at Grand Rapids last year. You weren't going to run it because you were injured coming into it.
Right. I had runner's knee for like 6 weeks, and I told my wife, I said, can we just cancel the trip? She's like, no, I really want to go to Chicago. I'm like, well, if we're going to Chicago, I'm running. And I'm glad I did because I ran 2:37:30.
Well, you beat 238 again.
I did.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. I am super intrigued by just so you don't even run, you don't look at, do you not look at your pace for tracking purposes during a race either? You really, it's just off your feeling.
I try not to.
Wow. Wow. That is, it's interesting because that's what A to Z uses as well.
Yeah.
I have not been able to get myself, well, number one, to follow
Any plan.
any kind of a plan lately, but that's what they do. It's all effort based. It is.
Some people don't like it at all.
Well, I
Like
think it's
that-
just
that
you
mindset.
have to really change your mindset. Did you used to go off from?
That's the problem. I used to always have to hit like 7 flat per mile, and I think that's what always got me hurt. Was I was always looking at my watch, going, okay, it's got to be around 7 minutes. It's got to be around 7 minutes for every run. And now, if I run, like during my build up for Arizona, I was running over 100 miles a week. You can't force all your runs. So if I would run 7:45 pace, it would be fine with it. I'd just cover up my watch and run.
That is good information for a lot of people that are training, though, because I have friends that get stuck on that. And I think it's important to let off and
Yeah,
go slow.
Yeah.
I'm bad with that myself. I have a tendency to go out, and I can at least today, because of just where I'm at, I can slow things down, but
You still care.
I still care. I still look at it and go, I want to push it a little bit. Or one thing that I notoriously do and still do is if the first mile is an 8:30, I want every mile after that to be just
negative.
faster a little bit. I have to negative
But-
everything.
But if you hide your watch, you wouldn't know.
Well, what's interesting, since getting the power meter, I don't even look at pace
Yeah.
or heart rate or nothing. I only watch power. And so what I've noticed is, though, I think my power, and tell me if this makes sense because I'm still figuring it out, but the power goes up throughout, and I'm probably,
does.
okay, so it will do that. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever-
Because you're exerting more power throughout the run.
Well, yeah, naturally, I think you are.
Yeah.
I think it gets harder.
Have you looked at that at all, the
No,
power meters?
I have a friend that uses the power meter, but I've never.
Okay.
Not for running.
It is really, the little bit that I've used it, it is interesting, and I think it will help me get away from all right, I got to be under this. I got to be under this. The nice thing is it gives you a range. So let's say, help me with the range is like 200.
Yeah.
Power
Yours is
level.
different than mine.
But like at 200, you should be able to go out. It'll say you should be able to run this for 5 hours. And these might be way off, but I'm just saying. And if you're pushing a 250, you should be able to do this for 2 hours. Or if you're at 280, you should be able to do this for 1 hour. And so the nice the nice thing is you can just watch that, and the pace is a pace. Like whatever the pace is, that's what the pace is. It's telling you where you can do it based on data that you're continually giving it. So, which I think is similar to effort. I think it's similar to effort based.
Yeah.
But it's giving you something tangible to look at versus just how you feel. But I think the feeling thing is a good thing. So getting back to Arizona, Arizona. You ran that basically all off from feel.
Right. Just didn't look at my watch until I had to.
And the results were the results.
Right.
Now let's face it. You are racing that race though.
I'm racing the race, but I ran with the guy Tom.
Yep.
And we were in first and second and third the whole way.
Yep.
And then he dropped it. He was done after a half. And then I ran by myself pretty much the second half. And the other guy ran 2:28, I think, won it. And I didn't see him at all.
I was just gonna say you couldn't see him.
I could not see him.
And did you have third creeping? Could you feel third?
No, I think third was like 2:35.
Okay, so there was some space.
Right.
Okay.
So it was pretty much just running by myself for the last half.
I don't get to do that.
So did the guy that
I get to do that when I'm last.
Yeah. Well, you usually that's the only place because usually there's a lot of people in there. Did the guy that you ran with, did he continue? Or did he only do the half?
No, he continued.
just fell off
he
a little
just
bit.
knew that he wasn't going to be able to hold the pace, so he just fell off so he could finish.
Gotcha. Okay. Which, by the way, what did he run at CIM?
2:35.
But
it was 3 weeks before.
What does that put him at? That because that's a
He was-
very competitive race.
Oh, I don't know what that put him at but that put him second in the nation in the 50-year-old category.
Second in the nation at 50-year-old. So was he top 20 even at that race?
know.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. So what is he? Is that like a top 50 there?
That's
No idea.
Yeah, that is a big
I don't
race.
think so. That's a big race, and that's like this year. They think they had almost like 40 people qualify for the Olympic trials.
Oh my goodness.
And they probably give out. There's probably money.
Money there, yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Like there's
yeah.
professional. I think Footsum Zina Selassie won it this year. Who's a professional runner?
Okay, but he was second at 50-year-olds.
In the nation, his time was 50th, or was second in the nation at that time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So it's fast. Anyway. So I do something you mentioned. I think this is really interesting. So Mitch and we don't get invited to races. We don't know what that feels like. But something you mentioned is
Well,
you'll
we're
actually,
working on that. They're gonna invite us for our personalities.
I was gonna say we get invited because you come on the podcast. Hey, here's a race entry. That's one, and then that's the only way we're gonna get an invite.
They feel sorry for us.
But you get invited because of speed. Essentially, I mean that's why. Unless you have a super personality, is that what it is?
No.
Okay, so it's the speed. You said you got invited to what races?
Well, I don't get invited. I get free entry.
Free
into
entry.
them.
That's what it is.
Yeah, or
Which is essentially
you
invited.
get a little
I mean,
extra when you go.
Oh,
So like
okay.
Chicago, I got into the American Development Group, which you have to run. If you're over, I get more benefits now that I'm 40.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're 40, you only have to break 240.
Only.
Only break 240.
There you go, Lewis.
And at Arizona, if you run 232, under sub 232 for Chicago, you can get into the elite entry. So I missed it by 11 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, I got into the American Development Group, and you get bathrooms and
You get
Powerade and Gatorade and stuff.
near the start.
And then you get right up near, they leave you in the tent, which is heated. And then like 10 minutes before the race, you go up and you're like right in front of, right with the elite runners.
And so you said that is the sub-elite level.
Yes, that's sub-elite.
Okay. And what is, you said it's the American Development Program?
Right.
What is that? What is that?
I don't even know what.
That's just what
I think that's like for the people who are like close to Olympic, trying to make it to the Olympic trials.
Oh,
And the
okay.
older people that are fast.
So you finally get to be old.
Right.
Yeah. Or you finally get to be fast? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a combination of both. So wait, so if you would have ran sub 232 at Arizona,
I could have got a free entry into the Chicago Marathon and been in a different corral than
the sub-elite.
wow.
Sub-elite.
Okay. And so,
11
but wait,
seconds.
so you did get a free entry though, still.
not to Chicago. No, American Development, you still have to pay. I got a free entry into Arizona for running under 240.
Okay.
So you can go back.
I could go back. Yes.
So Arizona.
Still expensive because you still have to pay for travel.
Right.
They could pay
Yeah.
for travel too.
But Arizona, if you ran, let's say Grand Rapids 235, you would get a free entry into Arizona, or you have to run it there.
Nope. I would get a free entry. So I ran
Oh,
238 in Charlevoix that
Yep.
year. So I got that's where I got my sub 240 on.
Ah,
Interesting. How many do a lot of races do that?
I think so. So like Bridge Run, you have to run under 57 minutes to get a free entry into the race there. And then
Which for
Brian-
that one, how far is that?
10 miler.
And there aren't tons of 10 milers, so you're
Right.
pretty much doing it there in order to get in.
Or you can, so the first year I got in because I ran the pace that you need to run in a half marathon. So I didn't run a 10 miler. I ran a half marathon, sub 57.
See, the place that really counts is where it's a local race and you can get in for free because then you're not spending any money. But
Right.
when you go to,
Well,
running a different state is expensive.
yeah, the race becomes.
Hopefully you got your mom to cover it because it was for her 60th birthday.
she covered the hotel and
Okay.
the rental car. So
Oh,
So
there you
just
go.
how do
I
you
just
say
had
no?
to pay airfare and I bought food for her birthdays.
Okay.
Yeah, how do you turn that down?
Well, yeah, but and when you travel, the race entry does become a minor piece of the
Yeah,
overall
Right. I
cost.
think
yeah,
getting in Arizona was like $65. It was a cheaper race.
that's
So
it.
yeah. Well, I got
That is
well.
really
we knew
cheap.
we were going, so we got it when you
Way
could
ahead.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing Hard Rock does because that's a Hard Rock race, right?
Rock
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Did Hard Rock used to be tied with Rock and Roll?
No, I don't think so.
Never. Okay.
No.
Anyway, that's a Rock and Roll Series race. That's one thing they do a lot of times is if you sign up like a year ahead of time,
Yeah.
like right after the
Or-
race, it is super cheap.
Or if you sign up for multiple hard rock and roll races,
Oh, really?
I think you can get, and then they do all the special medals. If you run 5 of theirs,
Yeah.
you get.
Yeah, that's what my mom did. So she ran the 5K and then the marathon, and then she got some special medal. Yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
like our hardware. Unless
Yes.
you keep it in the
well,
box.
I was going to say, we talked about that before too. Where's yours? Oh, yeah, in the basement.
Mine are hung up.
At
They're
least,
just,
okay.
they're hanging all over each other though, so it looks like a big jumbled mess. But it's in the
Yeah.
basement. Nobody ever goes down there.
Yeah, Brian's got like a really nice setup. I
Yeah,
like his because
it is
that's
cool.
where he invites all the runner friends over or, endurance athletes over and it's there. And it's funny because when we go over there, I always look through them.
Yeah.
Like I always find myself, oh, look at this one. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was always important to me at one time is like, how cool is the medal? And now it's like
Yeah.
I grab it, I wear it, like from the finish line to the car and I throw it in the car.
So one of the things we were talking about before as well, and I do kind of want to jump into this a little bit, is perspective on what a 230 marathoner is compared to a 3 hour, compared to a 2 hour, well, almost 2 hour marathoner. that's super, super fast. And so,
Well, if you think about it from a layman's perspective, what's an Olympic qualifier now? I think you looked at,
218,
yeah.
and that's like a 520, 518, 520 pace.
Like someone that doesn't know better would be like, oh,
So
you
you-
could qualify for the Olympics. What's it going to take?
yeah,
Dan?
you can't just shave off like 25 seconds a mile.
No, that's a lot of work. If it already takes me 100 some miles to do what I did there.
So just do 200-mile weeks.
Yeah.
You should do it.
Yeah.
So what you're shaving almost 10%, like 8% off from where you're at compared to like I don't know if you compared like a 5-hour marathoner trying to go to a 4:30, you're shaving 30 minutes off, and I'll bet you it's like
That's
5%.
I would say that's way easier to go from a 5-hour to a 4:30 than
Oh, yeah.
even
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes.
yeah.
Right.
And I would wager to say it's easier for everybody, no matter your level, your fitness, your anything, to make that kind of a jump. Just because let's look at what is the world record, like 201 201 something.
Oh, no.
They're trying to shave 1 minute off from 26 miles.
Well, at that point, they're talking about just trying to shave seconds off just to get the world record again,
Right. Yeah. And
which is like just to hit that time again is obnoxious.
yeah. So there is a point at which you can't just easily shave stuff off. You're reaching your own limitations. You know what I'm saying? There is a natural piece to where Dan is capable of running this fast. No matter what he does, no matter what you do, you're going to hit a threshold. You can't run faster than that. Whereas a Kipchoge, yeah, he's capable. It's just you're capable of running faster. There's a natural piece to it.
Right. Does that make you tempted to try a race? Like you said, like the one in Arizona was a difficult race. It was hilly. It
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily an easy race. Does it tempt you to say, hey, I could go run, say, Glass City, which is known to be a pretty flat race, and see what you can do?
The goal for Chicago was to run sub 230.
Oh,
But I started having I thought I almost had like rheumatoid arthritis because I got tennis elbow. And then like right as I got tennis elbow, I got runner's knee. And then the goal was shot. So I was happy with 237, but my training partner ran 229. I'm like, if he can run 229, I can run 229.
Oh, wow.
So it's still a goal to run 229, but I don't know when I'll try and do that again.
Where would you go? So we did I did a downhill race last year, and what I found out is downhill races kind of suck too.
Yes, they do. Really hard on the quads.
and it depends on the downhill.
Because I called him in the middle of my race, and I'm like, this sucks. Like I'm walking.
Yeah, that one was significantly downhill.
Which one was that?
It was in Nevada near Vegas. It was
Is that tunnel?
Mount Charleston.
Oh,
Oh yeah, who
And
puts that on? Starts with an A. No,
No, I can't remember the name of it. They do a bunch of
because
them.
they have
that are
one
downhill.
in. Oh, they have the one that's the Phoenix one. They run that one.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But it's all downhill races. It's all on the side of a mountain. It's supposed to be good Boston qualifiers, and I had a friend that was going to kill it. It flattens out. He said it went uphill, and I said it's probably not uphill as much as you think. You just weren't running down anymore.
Yeah, it's amazing the whole downhill piece to a race because there's a lot of distance between the start and the finish that can also go uphill. Like you look at
halfway, I was like starting to feel my back. I'm like, this is dumb. Like I shouldn't be out here. But
well,
it was a new state.
Were you? I don't know if you were really well trained.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was hurt.
It was more
coming
of
into
a.
it. It was a new state.
Yeah. The one in Phoenix, the one that I've looked at there, I don't think it's as big of a downhill. So it's more of a true benefit to being able to go fast.
But do you think it doesn't seem like the hills, like the little bump slowed you down as much, but do you think you can change your gait enough that it's actually an advantage when there's a couple of hills in there? Or do you think it would have made a difference just to do a flatter race?
well, if I think I was in the shape I was for Arizona that I wasn't for Chicago, I think I would have been able to do it, especially because there was a lot more people around.
Yeah, true.
I think that was a hurt big time.
Not having people around
Not
you
having
to
somebody,
push you and
yeah, and the crowd in the park that we ran in, there was like hardly anybody on the course, so you're pretty much all alone except for when you get to an aid station.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. I have found that when I will feel better around people when you're running a race like that, you're running hard, whatever it is. You like when you hit an aid station, you just get this pick me up, and it's amazing what that can do. So you talk about like being like by yourself. It's amazing the mental, and running is so mental. If you have them around you to help keep you picked up.
Unless, like for me, I've gone into an aid station. I ran Crater Lake, and they're like, "You're the biggest runner we've seen today." that's
not a mental pick you up.
That's not as much. Of I'm like, did you really just say that? Like, thanks.
Thanks? Question mark. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Outside of maybe feeling attacked, or on a when you're going through an aid station. But I know for me, going through aid stations, holy cow, do I feel it is a huge pick me up.
Well, I love it when they're out there cheering. You know, like even Riverbank, you think about that, they have actual cheer squads out there. That's a lot of fun. Like that's what I like about that race. It's packed with people almost the whole way.
Yeah, and
pre-COVID anyway, it's not as much as what it hasn't come back completely yet.
Yeah.
But there's usually a lot of people out there.
There's a benefit to people around for sure. So what is your next target then for the marathon, for breaking 2:30?
Oh, for breaking 2:30, I haven't signed up for another one.
Okay.
So it depends on how the training goes. I'll be running probably Grand Rapids, but either the half or the full. I'm not sure yet because my training group we've talked about it, not traveling this year for a marathon and doing Grand Rapids. So that's the goal to run that one right now, but it just depends on how training goes through the summer.
I mean, it's a relatively flat. You got Butterworth, but then you have that one hill in the park.
Yep. Then after that, it's all flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as marathons go, it's a pretty flat course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Glass City. It's not, the
out and back on Indian Mounds isn't so much fun because it's kind of canted a little bit there, and it can kind of hurt. But
yeah, especially if you're I know for me, because that's where we would train on Wednesday nights. When every time we'd hit Indian Mounds, so annoying.
So we try to stay, because I've been running on there quite a bit.
Oh,
and we just try to stay in the middle.
Yeah,
you just try and stay in the middle.
But it's got the little bumps on it.
Like just off that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a little patch of flat right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have a target yet, unless training goes really, really well.
Right.
Then potentially Grand Rapids.
So my A goal this year is to run 4,000 miles this year and win the Masters at Bridge Run, because I've won that twice already.
Oh, okay.
So this will be my third year trying to break to win that Masters.
Okay.
Which puts a lot of pressure on yourself. And
right.
And they making that statement is like, oh.
Yeah. I know. Well, but, it's like what we were talking about before. It's
who shows up.
Who shows up to a race. You're definitely fast enough to win loads of local races, but you also have some people that are around that they'll beat you by 5 minutes or something in a marathon. And whatever. If they show up for that, they show up for that.
Well, that's like, so in that race, even if I win the Masters, I'll still be probably 3 minutes behind the winner.
Wow.
So
for 10 miles.
Because like this year, Nate Martin showed up, who is a 2:11 marathoner.
Oh my goodness.
So there's no way.
Holy cow. That is so
and
fast.
Zach Ripley was there, who's a
2:20
last year. He ran 2:18. I think this is a PR or something like that.
But he's younger though, right?
Oh yeah. They're younger. They're not 40.
They're young guys.
I still won with like a 56 minute. I think it was somewhere around there.
Oh, for Masters.
Masters,
gotcha. Okay.
I can't. Yeah.
When is Bridge Run?
That's September.
Oh, that's in the fall.
But you plan on running Riverbank as well, and that'll be a good effort as well.
I'll probably try to run 2:30 pace there, so like 5:40 to 5:43 pace, which I think will be pretty doable.
Okay. And that's another one in the Masters age anyway, where depending on who shows up, you could potentially win it, and you might be fifth. I mean, depending on who shows up.
Right.
We've got a buddy, or I have a buddy I went to high school with that he's won the Masters there once, and it's insane. It's insane how fast.
But there's money in that race. So you don't
So wait,
know.
that's one that you would be invited to as well, then, right?
No,
Or get an entry into?
Well, I already had a sign up from last year that I deferred, so
Okay.
I didn't even try.
'Cause I think. Well, then maybe it's if you place. Have you ever been in the top like 3 at that race?
No, because
for Masters?
don't really run that race very often.
I think he got invited back.
Oh,
So
really?
potentially, I'm pretty sure when he
if you
won
place
it,
you place in Masters or place in
you get invited back and you get a free entry, because I think the next year when he went back, because the 1 year he was top 3, and then he got asked to come back, and he got an entry, and then I think he either won it or was like second or something and got some money.
So regardless, like you said something earlier too. I don't think that we were just chatting at that point, but you said I'd rather get a faster time or beat my PR than place.
Right.
So that's really the goal when you look at Riverbank, is going for a PR, and if things line up, you'd be happy with that too.
Right, because just like you're saying, you never know who's going to show up, so you don't want to try and figure that out. You just want to run your race, and if it happens, it happens.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good attitude going in. Yeah.
How are you when like when it's mano a mano, like you're coming into the finish line and it's somebody that like the pressure of that, like that gets me frozen a little bit.
Truly,
like I was trying
truly racing. Truly
Well,
racing. Yeah.
If I looked over and they looked like they were over 40, then I'd probably kick it in. But other than that,
You don't care.
I might hurt something if I sprint too hard at the end.
Well, yeah, because you're over 40 now.
Right.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, I got to be careful. So
He
it's
looks
just
over.
and most of the time, I don't really have any leg speed, so it's from a mile out, it's all on. That's it. They got one pace towards the end, and I start kicking it in from a mile out.
So you do have a good last mile.
That's usually, yeah,
Okay. Whereas a lot of people don't.
right.
I can see that. I felt that at
Yeah.
Groundhog this year. I didn't have any pick me up.
Yeah, you start putting the pressure on from about a mile out, and
They'll
you
either
don't
hang
leave
or
it,
they
so you
won't.
don't leave it till the end, because I'm not going to kick anybody down.
Oh, gotcha.
Ah.
Yeah, I see. You're not going to win the 100-yard sprint
No,
at the end.
no.
You're going to go from a 5:35 and you're going to kick it down to like a 5:25 or whatever.
I think we ran like a 5:09 the last mile at the
5:09.
Bridge Run a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh.
That's,
Now get on your treadmill and do that.
Yeah.
I want to see. I'll video it, Lewis, if you try it.
I wonder. I couldn't do it now. There's no way.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah, we know.
We'll just set
We
it at
know.
that. We'll set it at that. We'll see
Not
what
a
happens.
mile. I was thinking like 100 yards.
We'll set it. We'll set it and see what happens. But we'll video it.
I think we should video you.
No, it's my idea.
It's more fun seeing big people fall.
Well, it's funny to watch anybody fall sometimes.
Yeah.
as
The
long as
bigger they are, the more funny it is, though. You got farther to go.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got fifth, third on the docket as a just a potential, like, I want to go fast there, see what I can do. But Bridge Run is one you're really focused on. Like,
Right.
yeah, I want to go back there, and again, depending on who shows up, I want to do well there. And then you said Grand Rapids is a potential,
Right.
and I suppose September, October. Yeah, so I suppose those two races will give you an idea of where you're sitting.
Right.
More of the Bridge Run will give you an idea of where you're sitting for Grand Rapids.
I've run Grand Rapids a lot of times. It seems like.
Yeah,
I think I've done that one 4 times.
I think I've only done a couple, but maybe 3. But yeah,
So how many marathons have you done overall? Do you even know? You don't even.
I
count,
don't
do you?
even count. No.
have you done a lot though, or is it
No, it's probably 20,
okay?
something like that.
More
but I was
focused.
looking at my training back leading up to Arizona, because we're going to talk, and I think I did 3 training runs of 3 hours that were over marathon distance.
You did 3 training runs over 3 hours.
Right, my last one was like a month out, and I did 26.6 miles in the 3 hours.
So you ran by time then. So when you're training, it's just by time. And I've heard that.
Oh,
I've heard that you should, like for training to not run over 3 hours. For some of us, that's only 15 miles.
you have to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you run twice a day or something like that.
Right.
But the 3 hours for you wasn't easy.
Yeah, I think like the next day I ran like 13 miles. It was
Okay. That's crazy to think 3 hour marathon distance is just an easy run.
But that's almost 20% of your weekly average if you're running over 100 miles too.
That's true. Yeah.
So do you have a group that you meet like during the week you run on your own? Maybe the weekends you run with a group a little bit more?
Yeah, usually on Saturday mornings. We don't really meet during the winter, but we meet during the spring and summer and fall. We meet at Johnson Park.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
What days?
Saturday.
Saturday mornings.
Yep.
Okay.
Because that's where I've seen, like, if I run, like, I'll run from Rainbow Grill and down.
Oh,
and that's where
yeah.
that's where I'll run into you a lot of times coming the other way.
Oh, yeah. We have hit them in the winter. Well, you said not in the winter.
We do some winters if the road is clear because that path can be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we usually run down through Millennium Park, round to Bridge Street and back, and that's like 15 miles.
Oh,
and that
okay.
trail can be terrible during the winter.
Yeah.
And how big of a group do you have typically?
Usually between like 4 and 10 people.
Okay. And do you run a couple different paces?
Speeds.
Like, what do you do?
Oh,
like
no, usually everybody is pretty close together.
Really?
I mean, when we ran Charlevoix, when I saw you up there, we had 3 guys in that group that ran 246.
Okay.
And then I was 238.
So you slow down to run with these guys then?
No, I just...
I'm just trying to put them on the spot. I'm trying to be a pain.
Yeah.
I get nervous going to run with them because I always think, am I going to be able to
Keep up. Yeah.
But that's the best. That's a lot of people. That's why a lot of people won't join groups is because they're worried they're going to be the slow guy. Because my lead in on this is that Dan Borton that runs with us, we tease him a lot that he's sandbagging when he runs with us. Like, you got to go run with these guys down there,
Well, I think
But there's probably a big jump from running with us to But he does have a lot of potential.
Yeah, because your easy pace that you run with these guys is, like you said, 7 minutes or faster, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah. So that gives you perspective. I mean, that's, yeah. But so then on Saturdays, that is your guys' easy run, though, right?
Our long run.
Long run.
Yeah, and sometimes some guys will be like, hey, today I want to do a tempo run in the middle. You join them or you don't.
Yeah. So it's different than if you are, like, let's say midweek speed work to where, all right, I have to do 7 miles at 6 minute pace.
Right.
That makes it different. Like, yeah, I'm just thinking, like, if everybody slows down a little bit, there's a bigger range that you can hang with each other than like speed work. It starts to tighten up a little bit on whether or not you can hang.
So how did you meet those? Is it just all old friends that you kind of run together, or is it kind of like normal runners where you just meet people and you kind of pick people up along the way and you start?
Well, they had a group there. I think it's the Grand River Track Club is what they used to call them. And I had a friend that I was running with, and he would only go a certain distance and then we would stop and he would want to keep going. So he found a different group and then he invited me to that group and then I just started running with them.
Okay. So they were already in a semi-established group there.
Right.
Okay. That's interesting to find 10 people though that go that speed. That's surprising. I mean, I guess it's not surprising that there are that many people that go that fast, but I guess birds of a feather,
Right.
flock together. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, like we go, I end up running at the zoo a lot of times, and there's a lot of people that meet at the zoo.
The nice thing about something like the zoo, though, is you have a ton of ranges to run with.
Yeah, and then people split up.
But, like, I'm not going to go run with them on a Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you should. I want to see you try to keep up.
No, it wouldn't happen. All right, see you guys right out of the gate.
Our first mile is usually like 7:40.
You do that.
I could do the first mile. I might start to lose you about mile 2. I'll start to lose sight of you today. But anyway, that's the nice thing about the zoo is you do have a nice range. And so for those listening, thinking, well, I don't want to join a group because I'll slow them down. That was the nice thing about Wednesday night was there was a range. You had walkers, not to your speed, but like to a 7-minute marathoner speed, and everything in between.
So we used to meet on Wednesday nights from Johnson Park, and then we'd do the loop, and you'd go to the pedestrian bridge there, and there would be a group of guys that once you turn off the bridge, it was on.
It was basically a semi-race to get back, and there was some shuffling and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But it did get you faster.
Yeah, especially depending on who showed up, like that Ron, when he was running, he's in that level. He's at like a 2:30 marathoner. I think he's actually come close to like winning the Air Force Marathon, like maybe second or third at the Air Force Marathon. But anyway, he started running with us, and it was always fun to try to keep up with him, later, because, you had to run faster, and so it would help you with turnover and things like that. And especially on a midweek run, it's only 7 to 9 miles or something like that, where you could pick up speed a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was in a lot better shape then, though. A lot better shape.
You're still a shape.
A shape, yes. Well, cool. Mitch, anything we didn't cover? I feel like.
No, I just want to see when he signs up. That you're thinking next year for, like, you don't do a lot of travel races then, but you do it with a group typically.
Right. So most of the races I do is when somebody else signs up for a race. Hey, let's do this together. I'll sign up for that race. So like when we did Chicago in October, we had 8 people from that group signed up for that race.
Okay.
And
I do think. Do you turn them into family trips if you can too? That's what I do.
Yeah. So like Charlevoix that I did, my wife and kids went, and then I've done Bayshore like 3 or 4 times. We stay at Great Wolf Lodge.
Oh, okay. So you spend the big bucks then when you do that.
Well, actually, the Great Wolf Lodge is pretty much cheaper than the ones that are the hotels that are by the.
Oh. Yeah, because we camp.
Really expensive.
We camp when we go up there. So I that's the one race. I said this a million times. That's the one race I do every year that they have it. But we make it a family weekend. We camp, and then the race is a small part of it. But again, trying to run 50 states, I'm always looking for people that want to travel.
Yeah.
So we're going to Montana this year, but I still have a lot of eastern states. But there's probably some good flat ones out there, that you could probably try to.
Run
to go quick.
Go sub
230.
Yeah.
Yeah. How likely is it? I mean, do you see that as a real I'm feeling good, I can do this. We putting together right conditions and training and all that.
Oh yeah, I think it's still doable.
Very doable.
And I would still like to go under 110.5, which I think is doable.
Wow. What pace is that?
520.
520.
What
Jeez.
one I know. I'm trying to think of what race. Like if I'm traveling, I got to do at least a full. It'd have to be a local race.
Right. Yeah. If I travel, it's a full marathon. Yeah.
Yeah. Halves are easy to find though. I mean,
yeah.
There's more halves than fulls for sure.
For sure. Yeah. I was just thinking the one in Holland, the Park to Park is pretty flat race too. If you ever run that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun course. It's not super. I mean, it actually is pretty supported too. I mean, it's pretty decently supported by the neighborhoods too. I mean, it's not anything huge.
The only hill you have is when you're going over the Crown crossing a road.
pretty much. It is pretty flat. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There might be one up on the north side a little bit, but it would be barely over the crown of the road.
You wouldn't be able to call it a hill.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, this has been fun. I think it is interesting to give perspective, and that's one of the big things about asking you on is just to go, yeah, you're very fast, and let's not forget that or lose sight of that. You're very fast in a different level than many people. but it also is, you're a long ways off from winning Boston or, one of the big ones. You know what I mean? But people lose perspective of that. They just think, oh yeah, this guy is on that same level as the fastest people. What is the marathon qualification time? We said that right? 2:15. What
For
is
the
it?
Olympic trials, I think it's
Olympic trials.
2:18.
2:18.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to break 2:30. So it'd be like 17 minutes faster.
Have you run New York yet or not?
I have not run New York.
But you qualify for
doesn't
that.
look like
Oh, easily.
doesn't look like fun.
Yeah,
No?
I've heard it's.
No.
I
I didn't even like running Boston. So I don't think I'd like running big crowds. I don't like the big crowds.
Oh, see, I
So,
loved it.
no.
Man,
New York looks more grueling.
yeah.
As in the course or like the logistics to get to the start is the
all
problem
of it,
too.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have not looked at logistics of
But
New York.
Chicago, the logistics can't be fun either.
We stayed at
Chicago's easy.
the race headquarters, which was right across the street from the start.
Oh, really?
Which I would recommend if you're a big fan of running, is to stay at a headquarters because I saw all the professional runners, which I know. So I was like, this is awesome.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's a price tag on that, though.
But it's Chicago. It's going to be expensive, and we only stayed 2 nights. So
Where we stayed, it's funny, Jack clued us in. There's a hotel, I don't remember where, but it's kind of just like right across Michigan. And it was super affordable for Chicago, but it was super close to the start. And you could walk to the start, and
The biggest one I ran was Marine Corps, and the logistics to getting to the race start. You had to take a couple subways to get there, and and then it's a packed race. Like when you take
I can't
off,
imagine.
especially at my pace, you're not starting up at the front, but all you're doing is zigzagging, trying to get in and out of people. So
and that's what's nice about having a faster time with the seed times, and you get up front, and there's like all this room. You don't have to zigzag through anybody.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's true.
See, that's just
You're
it.
lined up with people that
Are going
that
fast. Yeah.
I wish more races did a better job
me
of that
too.
because you get to some races and they do seed you, but nobody follows that, and then you got slow people up front, and that you're just
Well, I've literally heard people say, well, I can't run this, but I didn't want to, how do they say it? Like, I didn't want to be, like, let's say they're a 4-hour and they sign up for the 3-hour just because they didn't want to, like, have to zigzag because of that. And it's like, well, then you shouldn't. I mean, that you're
the
problem. You're literally the problem. But yeah, I wish more races did that. It is nice to just start with people that are going to run your pace. It definitely helps. Well, cool. No, this has been a lot of fun. I just, again, love the perspective of talking to people that run a 6-hour marathon and talking to people that run a 2:30 marathon or potentially sub 2:30 soon marathon.
putting the pressure on.
All right.
And especially somebody with humility and shows humbleness like you do to be like, yeah, I do well if the right people show up, but I still get my butt kicked.
You do well with your time no matter what. And I think that's the perspective
That's
I like.
true.
It's it's not about winning. It's about doing the best you can.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. And you do, and you're putting in a lot of work to do that. It's not like you're just, you're putting forth the efforts to do what you're doing. And so that's commendable. So, well, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. And yeah, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this week's episode, unless I missed anything. And be sure to check us out on YouTube. That's a new thing. We do have a goal of doing a lot more on there, but just timing wise and life wise, it's been chaotic and crazy, and I'm having a hard time.
I'm just sitting around, waiting for you to put these episodes together.
All right. I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to get tomorrow's done. Now, fortunately, because of what tomorrow's is, it was pretty easy because it's the final of the Amway Riverbank Training Run episodes. So it was actually pretty simple. But man, the video pieces added a lot. It has added so much. Audio is so easy to just put that up and send that out as a podcast. But we, like I said, like we have mentioned this, is we do want to keep up with like where trends are going, and this is not a trend anymore. This is just what it is podcasts are on YouTube. And so anyway, but be sure to go there. We are going to do more there. Go there, subscribe, and we will be releasing some more things there in the future. And other than that, be sure to check us out on Facebook and like us there, and share this with somebody that may want to hear some stories about running. And with that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.